This is all about Bitcoin, a show dedicated to all things questions and markets related to Bitcoin, little b for the currency, and Bitcoin, big B for the network. A collective journey to understand, apply, and use this innovation, all Bitcoin, all the time. Let's take a look at some of the day's top stories. A week after El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, demonstrators have set fire to a Chivo ATM, which is used for exchanging dollars and BTC, brandishing signs such as "No to Bitcoin" in the nation's capital. The protests have taken place on the nation's Day of Independence and seem largely targeted towards President Nayib Bukele. Nevertheless, El Salvador President Nayib Bukele is listed as Time's 100 most influential people of 2021, following his push to make Bitcoin legal tender in his country. Other crypto influencers to make the list include Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, as well as Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin. All right, let's have a live look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is roughly flat over the past 24 hours as upside momentum wanes over the short term. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is currently trading at $47,661 right now. There is strong resistance near $50,000, which can limit upside moves. Buyers, however, will likely defend lower support levels at the $46,000 level as BTC consolidates, according to CoinDesk analyst Demek Dantes.
The chart of the day is brought to you by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app.
Bitcoin's latest breakout above key resistance is backed by renewed interest from large investors, blockchain metrics show. Analytics firm Into the Block finding on-chain transactions greater than $100,000 surged to a record $480 billion on Wednesday. In Bitcoin terms, the so-called large transaction volume hit a two-year high of over 10 billion BTC. While every large transaction does not necessarily represent purchases by institutions or high net worth individuals, the steady uptrend in volume since early August, coupled with the uptick in the balance held by whales and the price recovery, suggests renewed adoption by large investors. Entities holding at least 1,000 BTC have accumulated more than 50,000 BTC this month, according to Glassnode data. Meanwhile, data shared by Sentiment shows the supply held on the millionaires list, or addresses owning 10,000 to 100,000 coins, has gone up to 60,000 BTC in the past 3 days alone. With strong hands backing the recent rise above the 200-day moving average at $46,000, the path of least resistance appears to be on the higher side. And joining me now to discuss Bitcoin is Philippe Bekazi, founder and CEO of XBTO Group, an institutional crypto trading and liquidity provider. Welcome, Philippe. Great to have you here. So you service institutions and large holders of crypto. So perhaps you can confirm this trend that whales or large holders of Bitcoin are accumulating.
Certainly the case. I mean, price is stable here, below 50,000. I think we're on the path to higher prices.
What is your outlook on Bitcoin in the short term?
Short term is always very difficult to predict, and I don't try to predict short term. We think that within the next 6 months to a year, Bitcoin will be significantly higher. We could see prices above $70,000 by the end of the year.
Interesting. There are some who suspect that we could possibly actually go a leg lower, but do you see the trajectory here as traders come back from the summer holidays is here on up till the end of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we had some trading range. We went lower, significantly lower. We had a serious retracement as we almost went below 30,000, right? Now, in August, we suddenly caught a bid, and now we're going into the end of the year. September usually is a mixed year, but usually the end of the year is fairly strong for Bitcoin, historically speaking.
Mm-hmm. And are institutions staying in Bitcoin, or are they moving into alternative coins?
Well, I think Bitcoin has become the currency of the cryptocurrency, the safe haven when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So I think there's always going to be a season where other alternative coins, call them, will do better. There is always new players coming in and diversified flows, and I think there sort of cross currents. But what we know is that Bitcoin usually leads, and it doesn't really suffer versus the other coins. Meaning, it will in short term maybe underperform, but over the long term, it is the biggest coin, is the safest coin in cryptocurrency. So it will not go as fast as some of the other coins, but from a market cap perspective, an absolute basis perspective, right? We think Bitcoin is certainly the one that will do, well in an absolute basis.
Do you see any headwinds in terms of regulation? That's a hot topic in the United States right now. The SEC is looking to regulate and clarify the rules in the crypto industry. Congress is also looking at a couple of bill proposals, one to prevent wash trading in crypto, as well as increase the capital gains tax.
Well, look, I mean, since I started Bitcoin about 10 years ago, XBTO is 6 years old. We've seen all kinds of markets. Regulation has always been a part of the daily, discussion. And so I think we're going to get more of this. It's just the path that we're going to have to take globally. Stable coins are basically on is fairly misunderstood, I guess, sort of vehicle of moving value, and regulators are starting to look at it, and there are many regulators around the world, and they have to all come to an agreement as to what is a stable coin, what is. I think Bitcoin is. Regulators are starting to understand what Bitcoin is, and but there are other alternative assets, and they're going to have to go through each one of them and figure out how, in what bucket does each and every one of these cryptocurrencies belong.
Right. The SEC is exploring stable coins and expects to have a report out by the end of the year. In other news, the Inter Miami CF launching a sponsorship with XBTO. You say it's the first crypto partnership in Major League Soccer. Why soccer, and what is behind this marketing push?
Well, that's what we're really excited about. I mean, for us, we moved down to Miami in May of this year. It was planned even in 2020, but we made the move earlier this year, and we wanted to make a big sort of investment in the community here. I think soccer is a sport that is global. Everybody understands it, plays it. It brings people together, and it's very similar to crypto in a way. It's very democratic, and we wanted to invest in a team that was very strong brand that represented Miami, Southern Florida, because I think there's so much going on in Southern Florida now. So many companies moving down here, especially in the crypto space. And it just made sense for us to participate in this journey. So yeah, we're very excited about it. It's a first in many respects. The first for the league, right? We're the first crypto finance company to do such a sponsorship in the MLS, in the league, and of course we are the first IMCF sponsor. They didn't have a sponsor before on that. So
certainly seems to be a trend. A lot of crypto companies are launching sponsorships with various sports teams, and we're seeing that mass adoption grow. Philippe, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insights. That was XBTO Group CEO Philippe Bekazi. Coming up, a look at the crypto landscape in the Middle East. Welcome back. All right, before El Salvador, we saw the early beginnings of cryptocurrencies being accepted as a form of payment at the Kick Lab free trade zone in Mina Rashid, Dubai, making the United Arab Emirates government-owned entity an early adopter of crypto payments. Earlier this week, I had a chance to speak to MidChain's co-founder and CEO Basil El-Askari at the SALT conference about the state of crypto in the UAE today. Have a listen.
So it's very good to be here, to be able to catch up with our network, our investors, and hopefully some new clients here at the conference. So really sort of reestablishing our industry contacts, our industry network here. The landscape in the UAE is pretty interesting, and in the region as a whole in the Middle East. So there's only 2 jurisdictions in the Middle East that are regulating cryptocurrency actively, and doing so on a very direct basis, not sort of looking at it as something else. These regulations are designed for cryptocurrency. So there's Abu Dhabi, which has the virtual asset framework, which is the one that we are regulated under, and then Bahrain has a cryptocurrency framework as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Abu Dhabi, since that's where I'm from, and that's kind of where we sought out our licenses, is that we worked very closely with our regulators in the Abu Dhabi Global Markets Free Zone for the last 2+ years to help work with them in terms of applying and operating our trading business and custody business under their virtual asset framework, which covers kind of the whole spectrum between AML, onboarding, market surveillance, and all the things you'd expect out of a regulated trading venue. The appetite from investors is very high, I would say, in the Middle East region. The demographics are very favorable. You've got a population of over 200 million people under the age of 40. And that demographic on the retail base is very high interest in crypto and high interest in ETFs and other kind of innovative financial products. And then you've got the family offices. The family offices as well are starting to get a little bit more creative in terms of their alternate asset management allocations. And we essentially want to act as a bridge or a window to give access to retail investors and institutional investors regionally and globally, access to that liquidity that is sort of becoming available, and that demand for crypto that is becoming available and accessible in the Middle East.
And my understanding is the Securities and Commodities Authority, they are thoroughly regulating the crypto space in the region. I believe 6 companies are qualified to have a trading platform in the UAE. Only 2 have gone live, one of them yours is MidChains. So tell me about how it has been dealing with regulators in the region.
I mean, dealing with regulators is always down to sort of your kind of relationship with them as individuals that you work with, but also your ability to sort of take and interpret the rules and the guidances, which are in our part of the world risk-based, not rules-based, and apply the risk management frameworks and workflows and processes to really demonstrate to them that you've understood and grasped what it is that they're trying to kind of protect.
So why are you qualified versus the ones that are not, that are operational in the UAE? What are you doing differently?
So what are we doing differently? So we worked with the regulators from ground zero. We never facilitated a single trade or deposit without having authorization to do so per any regulatory body, i.e. licenses or permissions. I think it's fairly straightforward to kind of white label some technology and spin up a trading platform virtually anywhere in the world. It's very accessible nowadays to do that. But being able to do it in a process where regulators can be comfortable that you have sort of the best interest of the clients at heart at the end and can prove it and be audited for it is a different story. So we went through that kind of very long, patient process to A, educate them on how we do things, and then B, to give them the comfort that we're doing them in a way that they expect us to.
On the flip side of that, there are a lot of competing trading firms that are servicing the very lucrative remittance market in the region. I believe over 40 billion remittances are sent out of the region every year. And so what happens to those migrant workers who are sending money back home. They're the unbanked. They don't have bank accounts oftentimes, and so sometimes they're using cryptocurrencies. And under the regulations, maybe they may not be able to get onto those crypto platforms. And yours.
I'd say the most demand for cryptocurrency in the region isn't actually from the perspective of remittances. It's more speculative investment, and I think that speculative investor base is kind of middle income, under 40 years old, working people, and that's where the demand is really coming from. But if we can sort of try and figure out how to ease the journey of the idea of remittances, typically how it's been done in the past is you have physical kind of Western Union type money exchanges where people will walk in physically and do their remittance.
A way to help those people who don't have bank accounts get access to the financial system.
I think the key kind of catalyst for that is going to be improving technology to ease the requirements of onboarding a client. And onboarding a client in a regulated way where they can work with firms like us who can protect their interests. And I think that...
Do you see that happening in the UAE with your platform?
I do, and I can say that at least over the last couple of years working closely with our regulators that the ease of the journey of the client is improving. It's getting better, and I can see it only getting even more efficient. And I think the more efficient we go, the more digitized the economies become, and sort of the system of records of workers, the better it gets.
And I think something else exciting that you're doing is you're trying to work on digitizing securities, and that will give access to foreign investors to local corporations in the UAE and the surrounding region. Tell me a bit about that and how close you may be getting to achieving that.
So one of our visions for MidChains wasn't just to kind of bring up a crypto trading platform, but to be a multi-asset class platform, whereby we'd give investors the ability to access any kind of financial product through our exchange and through our custody to be able to hold it for them on their behalf. An easy kind of natural next step from crypto is digital securities for us, because we think that at least operationally we can probably do it already. But it's just a matter of kind of working closely with our regulators to get them comfortable on how we create these instruments, how the smart contracts are written, and how our kind of storage procedures are conducted for the securities in particular.
A window into the UAE. That was MidChains co-founder and CEO Basil Al-Askari. That's it for All About Bitcoin. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in New York for your first look at the day's global crypto news headlines. You're watching CoinDesk TV.